How you doing, my friends? It's Cubby. You just entered the crazy-ass Newfie channel. I got two stories coming at you. This is the Cannabis News. The first story coming at you is a gentleman who won $25 million in British Columbia. Amazing heart. The gentleman is a cannabis connoisseur, an activist. He's been involved in trying with political avenues, and now he has the money to do so, and he's been spreading it out openly to the people. Just recently in the stories, we've just found that he had donated a portion of money out here in Calgary for the 420 events coming for Edmonton, and I believe the number was $500,000 to help decriminalize cannabis in British Columbia. And here's the first story.
The battle to legalize marijuana in BC just got a boost from a very unlikely source, the BC Lottery Corporation. A Terrace construction worker and pot activist has now collected a $25 million check, and he plans to help fund the fight. CTV's Shannon Patterson reports.
Smile, there we go. Yay! Okay.
You don't have to tell Bob Erb to smile.
There! Love it. Yeah.
He can't wipe that silly grin off his face. Is it hard to believe you're holding that right now?
Well, I've thought of this moment as I'm sure millions other have, for hundreds, thousands of times.
The 60-year-old Terrace construction worker had unknowingly carried the winning Lotto Max ticket around for a week.
And I went to gas up and I checked the ticket and I had to turn around and I thought I seen 25 million and check it again, and it was.
Bob, on behalf of BCLC, here's your check for $25 million and $1. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
So how will he spend his newfound fortune?
No, I need to relax a little bit, guys.
Well, there's something you need to know about Bob Erb.
I've been smoking pot for 43 years. I generally smoke 10 to 15 joints a day and 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
He made unsuccessful bids for MLA and mayor of Terrace under the Marijuana Party banner. Now that he's a multi-millionaire,
I'll contribute towards, operating expenses for any groups or political or otherwise that are promoting the legalization of marijuana.
with a name like Erb, how can you not support legalization of marijuana?
Well, it's a good play on word.
And he said, Joe, you gotta jump on an airplane. He said, we're going to Vancouver.
Bob's friend Joanne Twan will share in the windfall.
Joe, he said, I'm going to put $500,000 into your account. And I was like, Bob, really? Oh my God. And then when he phoned me back later on in the afternoon, told me to get on the airplane, he said he changed his mind. He said, I'm going to make you a millionaire.
He's also making his 30-year-old daughter Audrey a millionaire and helping out food banks and homeless shelters in Terrace. Lots of people would be going away to a beach somewhere, but you're heading back to Terrace.
Yeah, I've lived there 43 years, love the country. I'll be there till, the last day.
His trip to the big city was brief but lucrative.
Hey, there's my ride. We got to get going, my dear friend Joanne.
It's time to go home.
Probably crack a beer, smoke a joint.
Why not? He has 25 million and one reasons to celebrate. Shannon Patterson, CTV News, Vancouver.
And we've got a second story coming to you. Unbelievable. True life Robin Hood hero story kind of shit. Coming at you. I can't believe this. There's a couple out in England, UK, who actually were growing the cannabis for 6 years, making a huge amount of money. And when they finally got busted, they found out that most of all their money went to the villages in Africa, Kenya, for schools and hospitals, education for children. A real true life Robin Hood story of all kinds. Imagine that. Here we go. An English cannabis factory couple who gave away their £400,000 in drug dealing fortune to a poor Kenyan village are jailed for 3 years. The pair paid for life-saving surgery, computers in hospitals, and schooling. Most unusual cannabis growing case of its type, says the prosecutors. The couple in their 60s visited the village near the coastal town of Mombasa regularly. A couple who ran the cannabis factory and spent their fortune on helping poor African families and charities have been jailed. Michael Foster of 62 and Susan Cooper of 63 made £400,000 by illegally growing hundreds of plants at their farmhouse farmhouse home during a 6-year operation. But instead of pocketing the money, they spent a large proportion of it on the people of Kenyan village, paying for life-saving surgery, computers for eye hospitals, and schooling for the poor children. The proceeds went to aid charities and the poor children in Kenya. Jailed, Michael Foster and Susan Cooper spent the majority of their money from the selling of cannabis grown in their farmhouse home on the poor people living in the Kenyan village. When the pair from Lincolnshire were not helping the people of Kenya, they were living an incredible double life selling wholesale kilo deals cannabis to the local drugs barons. Although the judge appeared impressed with their good work, they were jailed for 3 years at the Lincoln Crown Court. Ridiculous, I know. The prosecutor, John D., told the court Foster and Cooper's life was the most unusual cannabis growing case of its type. He added this couple were both in their 60s and were of previous good character. In other words, they've had no criminal prior records. For 6 years, they were produced the cannabis in significant quantities. This was a professional and commercial setup. Gareth Wheatman, representing Foster, said the very fact they were repeatedly flying off to Kenya in itself required money, but the evidence demonstrates much of the money was being put to charitable and good use. Cooper's lawyer, Chris Milligan, added, Susan Cooper is a good person who has done a bad thing. There is another side to her. In 2004, the couple converted 2 buildings on their farm in Long Sutton, Lincolnshire, into a cannabis factory. When the young adult, called Wilson, got a gangrenous infection in his leg, he was given 2 days to live. Well, she paid for that treatment. The court heard how the couple were regular visitors to the village of Quail district, near the tourist coastal town of Mombasa, Kenya. The couple told police much of the money they illegally obtained was spent helping the local people that they had met. They used the money to pay for life-saving surgery for people in the village and schooling for the children. Diani Beach, a tourist hotspot of Quail District, Kenya, not too far off where the couple visited regularly. Jailing the couple, Judge Sean Morris told them, you were growing it on a significant scale, jetting off to Kenya on it. Lots of your money was going into your bank accounts. Over the number of years, hundreds and thousands went in. I am sure you were doing good things in Kenya with your drugs money. Whether that was to appease your consciousness, I can only speculate, said the judge. In 2004, Foster and Cooper converted 2 buildings on their farm in Long Sutton, Lincolnshire, into a cannabis factory, where they grew hundreds of illegal plants and sold kilos of the drug to a local dealer. Police only caught the couple by accident when the officer, who happened to stumble across their home while pursuing a burglar nearby, smelled the cannabis. Inside, police found 159 cannabis plants worth an estimated 20,000 pounds. 2 of the buildings had been converted into a growing room and a drying room. Officers also recovered 20,000 pounds in 1,000 pound bundles from a carrier bag. Foster and Cooper were arrested and interviewed following the raid in June of 2010. Mr. D added, at the time, this couple were completely off the police radar. They were only caught completely by chance. When the officer knocked on the farmhouse door, Cooper, a divorcee, answered. She replied, yes, I do, when the officer asked if she knew why he was there. Unfortunately, she gave up her own rights. The couple admitted 4 charges of producing cannabis and a single offense of possessing criminal cash. It is a sad story that they had to get 3 years because they really did not deserve 3 years. They did a noble deed. Inside, police found 159 cannabis plants worth an estimated 20,000 pounds. 2 of the buildings had been converted into a growing room and a drying room. Officers also recovered 20,000 pounds in 1,000 pound bundles from a carrier bag. Foster and Cooper were arrested and interviewed following the raid in June of 2010. Mr. D added, at the time, this couple were completely off the police radar. They were only caught completely by chance. When the officer knocked on the farmhouse door, Cooper, a divorcee, answered. She replied, yes, I do, when the officer asked if she knew why he was there. Unfortunately, she gave up her own rights. The couple admitted 4 charges of producing cannabis and a single offense of possessing criminal cash. It is a sad story that they had to get 3 years because they really did not deserve 3 years. It is unfortunate that this kind of occurrence should happen to such good and noble and decent and honorable and caring and compassionate people. That this would have to happen. That these are the Robin Hoods of all the stories that you'd ever heard. That they took the money from the Al Capones of the cannabis days and they put it into the hands of the poor people who are suffering. Sounds pretty cool, pretty noble. And for that gentleman with the 25 million, God bless him. $500,000 to help start the decriminalization of cannabis. I understand it's $10,000 for the 420s that are coming up here in Edmonton and in Calgary. God bless that man. And God bless to each and every one of you and all those your heart touches.